Ooh. Yeah, that's me in the middle. You know what? I'm not sure. Is the light okay? I might have to sort the lights out. I thought I would try with the daylight today, but actually it looks very strange. So here we go. We are live. Welcome to the Q&A. I got really confused there because I'm doing a Facebook Live as well, but in 2 hours, and I thought it was that one. So I was messing about with my PowerPoint presentation, and I realized I don't need it right now because this is the YouTube Q&A. So here I am, totally confused, and that's fine. We're going to answer some questions, and while you people are piling in and start asking your questions, I'm going to read the questions that I have from the Facebook group. So I'm going to share them again. And this time I've done it in a single tab to not have Miss P telling me that I have too many tabs open. Let's see if I remember how to do this. It's not there. This is very, very strange. Share screen, there we go. Let's see. She's laughing at me. That's fine. Let's see. I've already made it pretty big, so I hope that you're going to be able to see this. Let's see if I can, because when I'm looking at the screen, I mean, it looks okay to me. You let me know if you can't see it. I have to do something about it, but I think that should be fine. So, questions. Jonathan asked a really interesting question. He said, have you had any experience, is this one by the way, any experience of people just overeating real healthy foods for eliminating craving, i.e. eating ribeye steaks until stuffed to curb cravings? Just curious about your expert input. Yes, and personal experience as well. So I think we need to kind of have a look at differentiating between like the reason for why you're doing it, because there can be many reasons for why someone would do this, and one of the reasons could be just like someone has a binge eating disorder, and in which case please do work with a professional and not a coach, like someone who's dealing with that particular thing. I have worked with a couple of people who are suffering from binge eating disorder, but together with a therapist. So don't come to me and hope that I can help you. I may or may not be able to, but that's not what I'm working with. I don't have like a degree in psychology. I'm not a therapist. I'm a coach. So we are working on the moving forward part, whereas a therapist can help you with, past trauma and all of that stuff that is hidden beneath. And I'm not saying that we can't dig into that, but that's not what a coach is doing. So there's a big difference between those two. So if that's you and you're suffering from something like that, I think the best thing for you to do is sort of talk to someone who's dealing with whatever it is that you think you're suffering with. Having said that, I have done that in the past. It's just like the cravings are too much. And I have felt like, well, there's absolutely nothing wrong with me eating the good foods. So I just start eating more of them. The good news for me is that I can't constantly overeat on these foods because my body is just like, we don't like that. It's like I have a built-in stop mechanism for it. So I will just stop after a day or two. But usually it has to do with my period. And a few days before, maybe a couple of days before, and maybe the first day, I will just be hungry and I will have cravings and all of it. And I just keep eating. And I'm cool with that. So I let myself do that once a month because that's the easiest way for me to manage it. And I have no reason to not manage it because it's just my body fueling up on more nutrition. And as a matter of fact, it's actually probably quite a good thing for me to do because the rest of the month I'm, as you know, if you've watched any of my stuff, it's much harder for me to eat a lot of protein. So I'll just go with the flow. If my body tells me that I need it, I'm going to do it. And as Mo said as well, she does, but it doesn't curb the carb cravings. So this is in a different situation. Like when you're just having cravings and you're like, well, okay, I'm going to try to curb the cravings with ribeyes instead. What's most likely going to happen is that you're going to eat it, you're going to feel really full, and you're still going to have the cravings because you haven't dealt with the cravings. And this isn't necessarily a problem with general overeating. It could be, but I think that's more of a an error when you're trying to rationalize what to do. You're like, yeah, okay, if I have a craving to eat something, then I'm, even though I'm specifically craving chocolate, then I'm going to try to do that with ribeyes instead. And we just try to do it and distract ourselves with food rather than allowing the cravings to be there. So, yes, and she made a point of that cravings are not hunger signals. Absolutely. They are different. So I always teach like if your stomach is feeling hollow and it's rumbling and it's doing all of these things that you would interpret as hunger, you probably are hungry. If you just think that I should eat now, it was several hours ago since I ate, I should probably be hungry by now, or my body probably needs food now. Those are cravings. They are just disguised cravings that tell you that, well, it would make sense if you were hungry now, so now we're just going to go and eat, even though you're not actually hungry. So there's a big difference there. And then we have something that I call, um, what do I call it? I can't even remember. But it's like a false hunger that you get when, like, I think I call it like a carb hunger. It's a false hunger that you get when you're eating a lot of carbs. And that will be caused by the instability in your insulin glucagon and your blood sugar levels, because they will just be like all over the place. So if you're eating a lot of carbs, your hormones are going to be a bit messed up, and those are going to create hunger signals that makes you feel hungry even if you normally wouldn't be hungry. Plus they've probably turned off your fat burning as well, so you don't have that fuel. And that's a completely different issue. I don't even know how I got into that. Was with the the hunger signals. In that case, you can't necessarily trust your body to tell you when you're hungry, and you might have to take a little bit of control and start eating low carb and not eating every 2-3 hours, because that's just going to perpetuate the problem, and then get back on track while your body is kind of getting back to doing what it's supposed to be doing. Right. And we had Miss Paprika commenting as well. Let's see if something is happening. Where's the crown? Says Christian. Oh, that's interesting. So, what's happening? I don't know how to do it any better, and that is actually the wrong. What? This is very strange because I'm on a completely different tab, so I'll do that. I shared the wrong thing with you, that's why. Let's see if we can do that again, because we have one more question. So what's happening there? Oh, it's that one. So now you saw all my tabs anyway. Sorry, Miss Paprika. So can you see this one better then? It might still be blurry, but that's the best I can do for you. Yeah. Yes, you are seeing the wrong tab. Where's the crown? Where's the crown? Where's the crown? The crown is actually here. Do I have to wear it on my channel as well? I'll put it on top of my headband, like thusly. That looks stupid, doesn't it? That's my crown. I might wear it next week if you want to. Okay, it's still out of focus. I don't know how to help you, but I can remove it and I can just read the question if you can't read it anyway. So let's do that. I just need to go to it myself. Anyhow, Miss Paprika says, I'm still eating more carbs than I would like to, but I achieved a state where I no longer binge on sweet carbs. For example, yesterday I opened a chocolate bar as planned the day before when sitting with cravings. Yay, she planned it. I love it. But it only ate the half of it and even began to struggle to finish that said half. Does that count as progress? I know the answer, but I think not everyone sees it in the same way for oneself. Hey, I think everyone has their own journey and they have to go through things in a way that makes sense to them. Some people actually, I find it more, what should I say? I find it a little bit more challenging to work with people that come in and like, yeah, I'm going to be zero carb right now, because I know that that's just the initial motivation and they are excited about doing this. And I know that they probably not going to do that for 6 months straight. There's probably something going to happen, and then they're going to be disappointed with themselves. I always think it's a better idea to go slow and do what you need to do and not think so much about the results right now. Because the first thing that you want to do is just learn how to do it, like practice the skill of allowing those cravings. And whether you're eating the chocolate or whatever it might be right now isn't that important. It's like if you want to, let's say, I want to be a drummer, I want to be a professional drummer, I want to play in a band. So I'm going to practice every day. But I'm not going to expect that I can practice or I can do what that professional drummer me is going to do in a year's time. It's impossible. I'm not going to be there. So I'm not going to be able to play that well already. So right now I need to practice, and there are pieces that I need to practice, that I need to put together along the way for me to get to my goal. And it's the same thing with the cravings. Like you can't just expect to have this practice giving you the results that you will get after having practiced for a whole year. Now, practicing having cravings doesn't necessarily need to take a whole year, nor does, well, I don't know. I think you need to practice a lot if you want to be able to play in a professional band, but at least one that makes money. Having said that, some people are just really good at learning such things. Depends on like all of all different kinds of things. But when it comes to cravings, if this is the way that you need to go and you keep seeing progress from week to week, that is progress. And I know that this is huge progress for you because just a month ago it was like all the energy drinks and stuff. I was like, oh my god, I need to drink them because I'm so tired. So you just having half a chocolate bar and like feeling like, ugh, because you planned it. Now you can go to a place where you're like, why did I plan that? Probably because you had cravings yesterday. So the next time you plan for it, what you want to do is like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to have a whole chocolate bar or half a one or whatever you decide, if I still want it. So just because we're planning it doesn't mean that we have to actually eat it. So you can always decide on the day whether you want to eat it or not. This works really well for a lot of people. It never really worked that well for me because my brain is different than yours. And when I say that it didn't work so well, it was like, I have planned for it. I need to eat it. So then I needed to go in and work with those thoughts. Like, why do I feel like I need to eat it just because I planned for it? You tell me, like, is that a problem for you or not? So I think this is brilliant. And something that also happened to me when I started practicing this, which I saw as progress, and I actually made a big point of acknowledging it because it was huge progress actually. When I was keto and I was doing cyclical keto, and then sometimes I just, now I'm going to have a weekend when I'm just eating normal carbs. What happened was that I ate a lot of the carbs. Like I was binging on them because this was my opportunity to get in as much as possible. And this came from the deprivation mentality, like, oh, I haven't had any real carbs for so long because I'm just eating stupid keto treats and they're not as good as real carbs. So the pressure was just building up. But what was I going to say? Yeah, when I started practicing actually allowing my cravings, and when I knew how to do this, and I knew that I could always go back to it, what happened is that when I went off plan in the beginning, when I had transgressions, they would never ever be severe. It would be like, you know, an ice cream, like not one small ice cream. I'm talking like a Ben and Jerry's ice cream, or a tub of that, or a whole chocolate bar maybe. But it wouldn't be a whole chocolate bar and a bag of chips and a packet of cookies and ice cream. It was just like one thing, and then I was done. And that was massive progress for me. So I was still like, in terms of the cravings, my brain was still feeding these cravings, obviously, and feeding the the neural pathway that I don't want to feed, but the results of my transgressions weren't as severe, which was really nice. So that on itself is progress. So for you to sit there and not being able to finish a chocolate bar, I would say that that's huge. Yes, everyone says out of focus. That's fine. It's gone now. Uh, um. Oh, that's that. Okay, so maybe Miss Paprika see it well. Yeah, I think it depends on the screen and everything. And I made it bigger so that you can see it, but whatever. You're still here. You heard my question, you heard my answer. And you haven't asked me any questions. Come on, ask me questions, otherwise I'm gonna go. I want to answer questions. Okay. So true, it's the same with every skill. We all started to fall on our butts when we learn to walk. As adults, we forget that easily. Yeah. We just think that because it's not something that we do physically, well, it is, but it isn't. So we obviously have to put the food in our mouth, but because it's up in our brain, somehow we think that we should be able to learn it straight away because that's how we've grown up. Like we go to school and then we're expected to learn everything straight away, then we get graded on it. You're 80% good, or 50, or whatever it might be. Or you weren't listening, you failed. That's how we kind of been socialized. Like when someone is telling you how to do something or some facts that you're supposed to learn, you're expected to just know it and remember it forever. I'm terrible with that. I did really well in school. I can retain information pretty well, but if I'm not using it, it just goes away. It's like I have a master's degree in nutrition, and if you ask me something about something that I used to know really well, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I remember it was something like this. I would have to go and Google it and like, oh yes, that's what it is. And then my memories comes back. But I need a really good trigger, something that really triggers that memory because it's stored in the back of my head. And I'm not using that shit anymore because I don't really want to. I don't find it, it's still kind of interesting to me, but I don't find it very useful most of the time. And with just such things, you can find the answer on Google. Right, here is a question. Okay, here's a question. Is there a deeper meaning for your hair color choice? Oh, that's so funny. Nope. So I've been. Okay, so a long time ago, I used to dye it with henna, but henna goes very red. And then I blended it with indigo dye, which makes it very dark. So I had a darker, like reddish brown or whatever it is. Then I ran out of henna when I was supposed to dye my hair, but I didn't know it. So I was like, I'll try the indigo. And it made my hair sort of blue black. So I was like, cool, I'm going to keep that. And then I started to go very, very gray. I've actually had gray hairs since I was like 17. Obviously, they are more now. And eventually I was like, okay, now it's kind of 50-50. And I think it would be cool to be gray. So now I'm going to cut my hair off and I'm gonna wait until the blue-ish is growing out so I can cut it off. And that's where I am now. So this is actually old indigo at the tops, and then I've just put another color on to get a color on my head, one that is not permanent. So then it washes out. That's all it is. So I'm not a lesbian. I'm not like LBGT, hey, flags here and there. I don't mind if you are, as um your right to do if you like to do it. I just think that I don't need to express that. I have no need to go and shout it over the rooftops. Everyone has the right to be whoever they are, whether you want to do that or not. I don't care. So no, it doesn't have any deeper meaning, and it's fun with a bit of color. So I have a white hair dye. I'm not sure it's gonna sit on this though because it's still indigo in the for you know most of it. So I'm not sure if that's going to work, but I'm going to try to go white at some point. So that was my initial thinking when I even cut my hair off. Like, I want to go white or gray, whatever. But it seems to be taking forever. And even the hairdresser said, "Your hair is growing really quickly and it feels like it's super slow." So, anyhow, that's that. I'm the same way with my degree. I can't remember the itty bitty stuff. I have to save space on my memory space. Yeah. What degree do you have, Jonathan? Because I don't even know. Tell me. Degrees are funny. I mean, I love studying. I could probably study and get many degrees in many things just because I'm interested and I like learning and I find it like really exciting when I'm learning stuff. But they never really lead anywhere, these degrees. I think probably I wouldn't do it because I'm not interested in it, but I think probably one of the best degrees is probably how many times have I said probably now? um, engineering, like becoming an engineer in any field because they teach you to problem solve, which is awesome. Most degrees are teaching you facts and not how to problem solve, and I think that is a problem that needs to be solved, by the way. Oh, Jesus, Jonathan, human nutrition. Yeah, poor us. Molly, do you ever bake for other people, meaning cakes, cookies, etc.? I don't. No. I used to bake a lot. I love baking, but if I'm baking, I need to eat it. And I could probably bake and just bring it to other people now, but I'm like a hermit. I don't see other people. I don't socialize with people very often. And being in New Zealand, I have no family here. They're all in Sweden. Um, you know, I don't see people, so I barely have any friends. Well, I don't have any friends that I spend any time with in New Zealand. Probably had a few friends in the UK, but they are there, and we're kind of losing contact as you do when you're an introvert and they are an introvert, and things just happen. So, no, I could probably do it, but I don't. Um, I wouldn't have a problem doing it. It's just that I'm not sure I would be motivated to do it. I would probably be motivated if I was working as like a baker or something, and I just love that shit. But doing it at home, not sure. Jonathan, I spend 2 to 3 hours per day learning minimum. Maybe because I'm dumb. Engineering is a great degree. Yeah. I don't know where you get those 2 to 3 hours because you're pumping out the videos on YouTube and you are, doing interviews and you're all over Facebook. You have to teach me how you magically conjure all of this extra time to have time to do all of that because I would like 2 to 3 hours per day learning. But having said that, I actually probably spend on average at least an hour every day, I think, on self coaching and speaking to my coach, etc. I just think that is such an important part of my life for me to stay sane. That's funny. When you're coaching other people, you're never coaching yourself, and it's very easy to sit and be the neutral anchor, if you like, grounding other people and seeing their problems and seeing the solutions. But for yourself, you don't do that like automatically. It's something that I need to sit down and actually think about. So yeah, it's funny. Talking about hair, I'm losing a lot of hair and it doesn't look as nice as before. It's just age 38, or could there be a nutritional issue? Not enough protein, still keto, not fully carnivore yet. Um, how is your metabolism? I mean, losing hair is just one of the signs that your thyroid might be slowing down a little bit, but it could be that. It could be some sort of stress. Um, I'm thinking, I mean, yes, it could be a nutritional issue, but not enough protein. I think that is, I mean, it could be that, but I think it's very unlikely because very few people who eat carnivore or, yeah, well, very few people who eat carnivore would eat too little protein, and it would have to be something that is sustained over a period of time. So, how much protein do you eat? Do you get like minimum of 60, 70 grams per day? You should not be losing hair from that. If you talking maybe 40 grams per day, maybe. And it could also, well, 38 is a bit too young for being like hormonal in that sense. So yeah, still keto, but not fully carnivore. I mean, it's the same thing. I'm eating the same amount of meat or protein whether I'm keto or carnivore. For some people, it goes up on carnivore. Hey, cool story. Was just wondering if it meant anything personal for you and was quite sure it's nothing political. Okay, well, personal is just like if you don't like my hair color, get the fuck out of here. I don't give a shit. That's my personal attitude towards it. It's I don't think they meant anything. Well, they probably did mean anything bad with it, but I can't remember the exact comment. But I made one of the videos that I made, and I was asking like a question like how do you do this when you do something else? And they're like, how can you quit when you have a stupid eyebrow ring or something like that? And I'm like, if you don't like my eyebrow ring, what the fuck is your problem? Why do you even bother commenting? Like, why did this person feel like they had to say something like that? I think the comments are still there. I wouldn't delete those kind of things because I think it's funny and they just showing what an asshole they are. It has absolutely nothing to do with me. If they think eyebrow rings or blue hair color is stupid, they're not my people and I don't give a shit. Like, I'm here and I want to do exactly what I want to do. And if you want to judge me, go ahead, judge me. But I'm not going to stop being me or doing whatever I want to do because I'm scared of you judging me or leaving stupid comments on the YouTube channel or sending my boyfriend emails asking if I'm a lesbian because I have short hair. Don't give a shit. Like, do all of that crazy stuff because it really it really doesn't matter to me. I'm just laughing at it because I'm wondering like what's their life like? If they have nothing better to do than criticizing other people and saying stupid shit, I feel sorry for them because their life must be so devoid of anything interesting to do that they have to go around on YouTube and kind of poke at people's appearances. Like, really? So yeah, it's a big fuck you if you like. Like I'm gonna do whatever I want. I'm 45 years old and I have blue hair. So what? I'm always gonna be a child at heart and I'm gonna do what I want to do. And that's not your problem. So yeah, that was a personal thing. Jonathan, I have the constitution of a horse and I manage my time extremely well. Autism brain makes focusing easier. Yeah, sometimes I wish that I had such an autism brain because my brain is I know that like Bart's brain is the is not very well, he can be focused, but also he has a million thoughts in his head at the same time. And whereas he can kind of keep track on those thoughts, he's like not receptive to the outside. So when he's talking to me, he never remembers what I say because that doesn't poke through. It's just like, what? Did we talk about that? And I'm like, for goodness sake, again. So I don't know how many times we talked about something, we agreed on something, and then he gets fucked off. He's like, well, why are we doing this? We're always doing what you say we're gonna do. It's actually the opposite. And I'm like, we talked about this. He's like, no. Oh, we have to record all of these conversations so I can prove that you're wrong. Okay. Now I'm not gonna start recording them because that would be silly. But it's like I'm not sure I want that brain, but if I could have a brain that just like focused on something and could stay focused on it, that would be awesome. I need that quietness because if I hear like him roaming around out there, then I'm kind of worrying that the dogs are gonna start um, like barking or whatever, and then like my brain is all over the place. So I need like to be in a little bubble. That's when I'm really good at focusing. So sometimes I just put my headphones on to kind of block out the sound because that's the easiest way for me to stay focused. And that's also why sometimes when I'm talking about something and then I start reading the comments at the same time and then I forget what I'm talking about. I'm like, oh shit. Right. Question. Pim, how do people get in touch about your coaching services? I want to direct people to you, but not sure on the best manner. You can send them my email, pim@pimjohnson.com. I mean, you have it because you emailed me. If it's one-on-one coaching, but I'm also doing a group, but we're starting on Monday. It's pimjohnson.com/group. But if they are not familiar with me, they might want to talk to me before anyway. So just give them my email and I'll talk to them. That will be fine. We can work it out on email. Um, let's see. I'm afraid my question got misunderstood. I didn't want to judge anything. Was just curious because some people dye their hair because they love the meaning of that chosen color. No, I didn't misunderstand your question. It was the answer wasn't directed at you, Miss Paprika. The answer was directed at like not at anyone actually. It was more a declaration of that I just do whatever I feel like doing because I can, and I'm not afraid of doing it. So that is sort of the message, which is the hair color. Just because it's unusual might just be part of that, and it's not. It's not a fuck you to you. It's just a fuck you to everyone who thinks that I shouldn't be doing that. That's what I meant with personal meaning. Sorry, my English is still too bad. No, not at all. Don't worry about it. Morning, Sonia. Good to see you with your little cow. Us autistic folks are very in our heads. ADD and autism are often interlinked. I've been fortunate to be as calm as a camel with no signs of ADD. Well, that's nice. I think both you and I, we're both generally very calm, like cool, relaxed. It's just that you have the focus that I don't necessarily have. I do have a lot more focus now. Like when I was addicted to the carbs, it didn't matter how quiet it was because those carb thoughts would just infiltrate my brain, and that would be like all everything that I was thinking about constantly. So for me to be able to focus for even 2 minutes at the time was probably like a small miracle. But now, if it's quiet and there's nothing like intruding, I don't really have that much of a problem focusing unless I run into a problem or I don't know what to do or I need to research something or whatever. Then I'm good at distracting myself, and then I get this urge to procrastinate because now I don't know what to do. And that's when I would in the past have had like cravings. I might still sometimes get the urge to go and check in the fridge, but it's less and less often. Oh, got the hiccups. So yeah. Okay, do we have more questions? Come on, people. We haven't gone an hour yet. Well, we don't have to go an hour. It's just the time I've set aside for you. I'm actually having a really busy morning because if you missed it, unfortunately you missed it because we're on day 2, but we're doing the challenge this week. So I have a stream for the challenge and I have lots of welcome calls talking to people right after this for an hour before the stream, which is super fun because I get to learn so much about why people are taking part in these challenges and the different things like why people are doing it. And it's awesome. Question. Wait a second for a question. Okay, I'll wait for you. You can type slowly if you like. But yeah, so that's the last challenge for this year. I know a couple of people have actually emailed me and they're like, "Oh, I can't take part now. Are you going to do it again?" Yes, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it in January because December, I find that people sign up for things in December and then they get really busy. So even though it would be a really good month for doing it because we prepare for the Christmas and that would be awesome, people get sidetracked and then they don't finish it. And I don't want that. So, and I need some downtime. I've been so busy doing all of these things, and this week is super busy for me as well. And I'm starting this new group and I'm having technical issues as I always do. I don't know why I expect myself to be able to do something in a certain time frame when it comes to technical stuff because every time I touch anything that is technical, something is going to go wrong. So that's just my positivity, hoping that this time is going to be like the one time where that is not going to happen. So anyhow, I'm not running the challenge in December, and that's fine, but we're doing it in January because that's a new month, and I know that all the holidays are over and people are feeling fat and unhappy about them not being able to control what they're doing. So we'll just do it. Just the same thing as January, everyone joins the gym, and before Easter, everyone's gone again. So there you go. Why don't you host your great content in Bart's fine YouTube stadium? What do you mean with that? His fine YouTube stadium? Do you mean like for his membership or just in general? But then he has his channel and I have mine. I don't understand. Explain it to me. Or does anyone else understand? Is that a virtual background? Yep, it is. I wish this was my office because that would be super cool. I can just remove it and do that. But that's a bit boring, isn't it? We don't want black. But if I had that office, I mean, it looks awesome, and it's never raining. It's perfect. Why I don't host it in his studio? Well, I don't want all that bling. I just want it simple. He's like, it has to be tech and there's things moving all over the screen and this and that, and I'm like, this is me, my voice, my knowledge. I don't give a shit. You had your meds. Good. I'm glad. Question, just finished my antibiotics. Should I reseed my gut with specific probiotics? Or some more geared to the sugar low loving sad diet? Um, I don't think it's gonna hurt you. The problem with probiotics is that I think it takes a very, very long time before you can get off of them. Like as soon as you stop taking them, you're losing out on the effect. At some point, you might be able to get it kind of going without it, but I think it might take a very long time. If if you're feeling better, I would do it. But I mean, it's very well known that once you've been on antibiotics, you have wiped out your bacteria flora, and it's not going to be the same after, unfortunately. So you can try to do that. And to the second part are some more geared to the sugar loving sad diet. Yes, I'm not an expert on gut bacteria, and I don't think even the experts know exactly. Uh, but what I would say is probably like check in in any of the carnivore groups, maybe if someone has done it and what has worked for them, because that's probably the best advice you can get. I haven't had antibiotics in, I don't even remember when I had it last. I know I had a urinary tract infection maybe 8 to 10 years ago, but I fixed that myself. I refused to take any antibiotics until it would get really bad. So, and it didn't because I got it under control with natural means. You mentioned you eat a sweet potato every week to get some carbs in. Is there a specific reason, e.g., the lowest plant toxins, or just because you like them the most? There is a specific reason, but not for the lowest plant toxins. It's because I thought I had an oxalate dumping problem, and they contain quite a lot of oxalates, so that would be a good way for me to slow down the dumping. It turns out that it's probably not oxalate dumping because even when I started eating some dark chocolate and fuck, that's horrible, by the way. And I got some almond butter just so I can have like a teaspoon or two per day, or I have just 5 or 6 almonds. That should be enough to stop the dumping. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to do this every day now rather than eating sweet potato all the time. I decided to do that because then I don't have to have much, like a little square of dark chocolate or something. And there was no improvement. So I have made the conclusion, and I think I'm right this time, that it's actually a Hertz reaction from me increasing the amount of borax that I'm taking. So I've been doing borax for probably 4 or 5 months now, probably 5. And I didn't notice anything in the beginning, and I could go up and increase the amount that I was taking very, very quickly. Nothing happened, and then all of a sudden, and it coincided a lot with when I went zero carb. That's why I thought it was oxalate dumping. And all the bumps that I got on my skin, like if I make an effort to actually get something out of them, they all have like white little really hard bits. So I'm like, this is probably oxalate crystals. But I have now not had Borax for about 5 days, and the itching is still there, but it's a lot less severe. And I have like, I don't know if I remove the comment, I don't know if you can see, but there are some like red blotchy stuff here. So that's me itch scratching on them. But for a while I had like several big ones because I was scratching on them and they were really big. But now it's like I still have the bumps, but they're a lot smaller. So it's all over this place, some on my neck, all over my arms, etc., and on my back, which is really itchy. But all of that is really going down. Like the itching is slowly going down, but the amount, or rather than the size of the bumps on my skin, they are going down fairly quickly, I would say. Considering that I have it all over my body, I think it's maybe pretty quick. If you read about it, it's like if you have a Hirsch reaction, that should go away in 2 days. I'm like, not for me. But they're going down, so I think that I actually found the problem. So now we have the questions. Jonathan, do you have another question? I'm just forcing you guys. There's not that many people here today. You're 14 people today. You usually more. So I don't know what that's about, which is fine. As I said, I'm busy this morning, so if I had to go do something else, that's also cool. Um, Anything else that is happening? I'm trying to think if there's any information that you need to know. I think if you are into learning more about how to think and how to actually quit, go and watch the coaching that I'm doing with Jared on, what is it, Fridays for you, for most of you anyway, Saturday for me. Then do that. So that's in 3 days. I'm trying to count. I'm always converting time and days in my head because I live in the future, which is sort of annoying. Question: would you ever get back into lifting weight and making gains? You know what, Jonathan? I freaking love Olympic weightlifting and I would love to do that. But for me to get to any gym that would have that, I would have to drive probably 45 to 60 minutes to get to a gym that has that equipment. And it's definitely not worth that. And so, can I get a home gym at some point? Maybe. Then I might do it because I don't know what it is about Olympic weightlifting, but it's just a lot of fun. And it's like you getting strong and flexible at the same time, and it just feels really good to use my muscles in that way. Thank you. All hail Pim, Queen of the Pirates. Thank you very much. I really should get an eye patch as well, shouldn't I? So an eye patch for my crown. I was looking when I tried to find a good tiara for my queenly appearance. I wanted one with kind of black stones, but they didn't have any, so I had to go for the normal blingy sort of look. So yes, who was it that asked? I'll put it on next Wednesday. Let's see. Looking at I can't even find it. Someone was asking where my crown was. It's on my desk. I thought I would have it for Bart's live streams because that's where I'm generally known as Queen of the Pirates. Something else that seems to be out there already is that in December I'm gonna be one of the experts in the Steak and Butter Gang's program. So if you have any if you need help with any cravings and you're part of that, then I'm gonna be there. I have no idea when that's gonna be yet, but they started telling people that I'm gonna be there. It's just that I haven't got anything booked on my calendar, so I'm not really sure when that is gonna be, but I'm gonna be there. So that would be fun. I'm not really sure how it works. I think it works that people send in their questions beforehand, and Bella is reading the questions, and then I just answer them. And if that's the case, and if you're there, then I might be able to coach you, which would be fun. What do you think about using stickers as a form of reward for successful sitting with cravings or the small victories over the day, like those kids get for brushing teeth, done homework, etc., or other form of self-motivation? I use that with some clients. So everyone is different, motivated by different things. So I have a few clients that I've used this with, and they have like we get some, dried peas or marbles or whatever, like something that isn't too big and that is that you can use. And then you get a glass jar, and every time you successfully sat with a craving, you can just put that marble in the jar. And then you will just see over time how it grows. And every time you get to put that in, you get a little spike of a dopamine hit. And then that will just feel really good, like you've accomplished something. So it's just like helping you stay motivated while you're doing it. So if that's your jam, do it. If you feel like, oh, that would just complicate things even more, don't do that. And if you want to, I mean, there are people doing, I mean, you're a creative. You can just like put like an A3 or something up on your wall and like have something, and then you just get to fill in some color on one of the pieces when you sat with a craving. And eventually, when you've sat with however many cravings, how many pieces you're gonna split that into, you have your full cartoon ready or whatever. So, depending on who you are, just like come up with something creative. You are creative, you're much more creative than I am. So, you can absolutely do something like that. It's like, yeah, I get to go and color this in because I've successfully sat with a craving. You're gonna win. I find that exercise increases my cravings for unhealthy foods. Yeah, me too. Or not necessarily for unhealth. Well, it does because I get really, really freaking hungry when I'm exercising a lot. Cardio is the worst. Like that just makes me hungry and makes me want to eat anything. If I'm doing heavy weights, I I get really hungry and I have a tendency to overeat, but not necessarily the bad stuff. That's just how my body reacts. So when I'm doing that, I need to kind of really control, like, or be in control of my mind to make sure that I'm fueling my body with the right stuff because it's just like, we expended so much energy. We need to eat something. And wherever we see, we're going to eat. So that can absolutely be the case. I don't know, this wasn't necessarily a question, but I think that's probably normal. And there are studies done on people doing like aerobic exercise, if you like running, etc. You might expend a certain amount of energy while you're doing that, but the compensatory effect of doing it for like on your appetite is much, much higher. So like the net energy intake that you take, like it's going to be a lot more higher than what you expend. So if you're doing that to lose weight, you're not gonna win. You're gonna put on weight instead because the hunger is overcompensating for the work that you've done. The good thing with muscle is that if you are weight training, you can build muscle obviously if you overeat the right things anyway. And muscle is metabolically active tissue. So even when you do fuck all, it's still gonna use a lot more energy and it's long term gonna help you lose fat mass if that is what you want to do. So you can just experiment with maybe doing other type of exercise, or what I found is that it's also, if I do like an hour of really hard exercise, I'm definitely going to be really hungry. If I'm doing 20 to 30 minutes, it's not going to have the same effect on my hunger. So it might just be like maybe dial down on the amount of time you spend doing it. What do you think of thinspiration as a motivator? I don't even know what that is. Is it like looking at thin people and wanting to be like them? Is that what it is? I have to Google it. You guys know so much more than I do. Okay, so that looks like you're looking at anorexic people. Tell me what you mean. Okay, so it's a movie. A 17-year-old girl becomes possessed by the dark world of anorexia after finding a website that promotes thinness. I guess that's what you are talking about. Yeah. Okay. Images of thin people on movies with thin actors. Um, no, I don't think that's good. I don't think any external motivation is good. That's where we start. Like, I want to be thin, but It's never going to come from a place of like content and compassion for yourself. It's always going to be the mindset of, I'm not good enough. I need to be there and I need to do everything that I have to do to get there. And I mean, it might work for some people, but you're not going to feel any better when you get there. Because what actually motivates us to want to do anything is that we want to feel differently. So when someone tells me, like, I'm on a carnivore diet, why are you? Some people just say, like, well, because I want to eat the best diet for me. And there are very, very few people for whom that is actually true. Most people want to feel better in some way. So for me, it would be like, I want to have more energy. I would like my sinuses to clear up. None of that happens on a carnivore diet. I feel a lot better eating a keto diet. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't care if the carnivore diet is the ideal human diet. I still believe that, but it doesn't work for my metabolism at this time. And so when you use something like you're just looking at pictures of other skinny people because you want to look like that, it's like you're kind of whipping yourself and you're telling yourself every single day that you are not like there, you're not good enough. You you have to do more to get there and you have to be extreme to get there because there is no other way that you can, if especially if you're looking at anorexic people, because you can't, without starving you can't look like that, and I don't know why you would want to look like that. So if you instead can just, but Molly, you were in my previous challenge, I think, rather than the current one. If you go to just day one, where we're like discovering the deep reason for why you want to do something, that is so much better motivation. If you can just dig down deep and find out um, what emotion it is that is motivating you, like you want to feel better and you might want to be in control of yourself and you want to, be empowered and able to choose for yourself, like those are the things that are coming up for most people. It's not about the body. And that's actually intrinsically motivating and is something that we are much more likely to stick with, because as long as we keep focused on it, as long as we remember what that reason is, we can motivate ourselves. But any external motivation, someone telling us to do something, or we just want to fit in that bikini or whatever, that's never going to last. So if you just have like skinny people popping up on your phone every 3 hours to remind you of what you want to look like, I don't think that's a sustainable or healthy way to do it. PIM for PM. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't like that, would I? Okay, great, thanks. I'll focus more on weight training than cardio. Yeah, and if you're doing cardio, I mean, you can get the same effect from like some type of HIIT exercise. So just do like high intensity, very short intervals or whatever. My question was not about me, just thinking about what others could be wondering. I just struggle with being patient with myself without giving me free pass to work against myself. Yeah, okay. Yeah, absolutely. But if you want to do it anyway. Can be fun. If you don't, then don't. Oh, yeah, we saw that one. What to you is the key difference between keto and carnivore that makes keto better for you? Is it the macro ratios or the foods themselves? Okay, this seems to be a thing where an amount of carbs for me is necessary to not feel um, massively fatigued and for me to not get headaches and migraines. So if I'm refeeding with carbs, as soon as I feel like my head is about to go down that way, it goes away. And I could tell them, Miss Paprika said earlier as well, like, is there a reason for why I'm eating sweet potato? I've tried with different carbs. I tried with like bananas, blueberries, rice, and sweet potato. Those are the ones that I've tried and actually, observed and taken blood sugar, etc. Baked sweet potatoes, they are almost like pre-digested carbs, like sugar. So when I'm eating that, my blood sugar goes up a lot. When I'm eating rice, It does not. Same amount of carbs, it does not go up as high. So in theory, that would be better. But for some reason, sweet potatoes seem to almost always be able to get rid of my headaches when I have them, and rice doesn't always do that. I don't know why. It's the same amount of carbs, and I don't know why a higher spike in blood sugar would be a good thing. Because I'm horrified when I measure my blood sugar after having eaten sweet potatoes, and it's like way higher than what would be considered healthy. Even 2 hours after is still high, 2.5 hours after it's down to baseline or lower. So that's how long it takes for me to clear that out. And every time I have a sweet potato, I'm like, oh, I don't want to eat too much of this. But then I don't want to eat too little either, because if I eat too little, it's not going to be enough to actually get rid of the headache. So I still haven't managed to figure that out. I'm wondering if there's like, I mean, most people after 40 do have like very sluggish mitochondria. Like maybe my mitochondria aren't that good at burning fat or ketones for fuel or enough for me to get the energy that I need. And I just need to replenish those carbs once a week or whatever it might be. Sometimes it's every 5 days. Sometimes I can go 9 days without any carbs. It just depends. It's different, and there's no, but it's usually between 5 and 9. I don't think I've ever got more than 9 being like zero carb without getting a headache. But right now I haven't had much headaches, and I just keep doing what's working for me, and I feel so much better. Thank you, Pim. Needed to hear that. Good. So go back to your deep reason. Do it. And when you have your deep reason, something I want to mention to all of you, when you know like what's intrinsically motivating you, you can write that on like stickers and put them all over your house if you like. But just try to remember to actually think about it and sort of brainwash yourself into remembering it, because we can't just do this and figure it out and then forget about it. It's not going to help you. But just keep that in mind. And I'm not I'm thinking about my deeper reason pretty much all the time because I've done that. But when I decided to not have any sugar for a year, I motivated myself with thinking about how interesting it would be to do it. Because I'm very curious and I like doing experiments, and that sort of shit interests me. That's probably why I'm a scientist, because I want to figure things out and I want to see what happens when you do things, and I like doing little experiments. So I want to see what's happening when I have gone 365 days without eating any sugar, and I'm going to have some sugar, and I want to see what happens to my brain and what happens to my body, how I react in all senses when I do. And right now, I'm not even excited about it anymore. I don't really want to have any sugar, but I'm going to do it for the experiment because that's what I decided. But I'm not even excited about doing it. It's just like, I'm not bothered anymore. Oh God, Kathy, we're about to finish in 1 minute. Definitely does this for you. Oh my God. Do you think sugar carb addiction will ever be acknowledged as real? The way society is moving, I don't think so, because then they would have to say that all of these foods are bad in some way, and the heart healthy cereals, etc., are addictive. I don't think that that's going to happen for a very long time, not as long as I can see anyway. Like, I don't think that I'm going to be alive the day that that's going to come to pass, to be fair. And, you know, these kind of societies, like the psychiatries, psycho- psychology, forget what they're called, the American, whatever, those societies, they are like, they get so much funding and direction from higher institutions. So they're not going to be able to do that without having some sort of approval, and they're never going to get that approval. So I'm pretty sure that like many practitioners are going to recognize it, because it's going to be impossible to not recognize it. But then we have to start recognizing other things as well, like Netflix addiction or YouTube addiction or whatever. And or mobile phone addiction, like all of these things. And whereas we talk about them as addictions, no one is really, you know, I haven't seen, not that I've been looking, so there might be someone, but I haven't seen a YouTube channel about mobile phone addiction and helping people with mobile phone addictions. So if you have that, I can still help you. You can just take whatever I'm posting on this channel and pretend that a mobile phone is like a carb. So it's the same thing that we deal with. It's just that yeah, people are not going to recognize that because that wouldn't be good for the mobile phone industry. Maybe people would try to not have them, but that's going to be even harder than getting rid of the carbs because you are a weirdo if you don't have a mobile phone and everyone needs one. We're so addicted. I mean, I'm not physically addicted to always looking at my phone, etc. But if I didn't have one, I'd be like, hmm, that's weird. I need one because all these reasons. But when I'm thinking about it, like I'm thinking about it right now, I don't actually need it. Anyhow, we're out of time and I actually need to go. Yes, does this for you, better late than never. Thank goodness for replays. Yes, you better watch the replay. So I need to go. If you're in the challenge, we're live in 1 hour. And before that, I have a few welcome calls that I need to take care of. So I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. It's amazing how many good questions you have. And thank you so much for asking them because I think these answers are really helping everyone who's watching. Not everyone at once, but I think that most people who are here will have got something out of your questions. So thank you so much for that. Let's see what Kathy has to say before we leave. Truthfully, doctors in the psychiatric space like Dr. Chris Palmer are leaning towards the sugar and carb addiction mental illness connection. It's at least promising. Yeah, but he's just like one practitioner and he's never going to get that through to be recognized by the wider society. That's the problem. But yes, we thank him and everyone else who's on our side. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll see you next week or on Friday when I'm coaching Jared. So I hope to see you there. Bye.